Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Hello, Louisville. Welcome back to another day in the Black History Making Year 2021. It's Black History Month, but I'm going to extend this month because we have history making things going on for the year. And always have, so we're not just going to settle for a month anymore, even though nationally it's recognized. But we're here to say welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And this evening we have another fabulous dinner guest. All my guests are fabulous. If you didn't know, you better ask somebody. So we're going to start the show off with the CEO and the executive director of Phunky Pixel Media, none other than Mr. Martin Lindsey. Hello, Martin.
Good evening, Miss Janice. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You didn't type your name up there. Your name's supposed to be typed in up there, but that's all right. That's all right. This is Martin Lindsey. Tell us about how did you get that name? How did you come up with Phunky Pixel Media?
Well, a combination of things.
Okay.
First, the name Funky, the era of music I grew up on when I was a kid. So
Okay.
you think of Parliament, Funkadelic, some of those other groups, Brothers Johnson, and some of your musical peers from that era.
Back in the day, yeah.
That was my kind of music. That's what my brother and sister and I listened to at home when we were at church, and when we were at church, we had every style of Black church music that you probably ever heard of in the Baptist tradition. So the hymns, spirituals, anthems, and even the gospel of that time that was becoming more popular in my home church. So we kind of got the funk from all directions, secular and spiritual.
I hear you.
And of course,
tell me about who you are and how you got started in this digital age of ours.
Well, part of it was the second part of the name, pixel. It's a unit of light on a computer screen. The reason people can see us on this podcast right now is because of the units of light on their computer screens. So, it's a blending of those things, coming up in a profession, my first profession being engineering, which brought me to this city back in the early 90s. Everything we did was computer based. So coming through that generation that kind of got first educated in the use of digital technology. When I first came in here, first moved here early 90s, the middle of the decade was when the internet first went public. So being a young bachelor with a little extra money, seeing all those early AOL.com commercials, right? You got mail. I was like, hey, that's some cool stuff right there. I'm going to start using
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace. What's the first music?
iTunes.
No, it's a download company that got in trouble for providing free music. It'll come to me in a minute.
Okay.
But back in that era, so as a young guy, that was my kind of thing. So I got my first email account, my first internet account, and as the internet has matured into more than just fun and games, but into business tools, I've evolved with that as well. And later in life, I went back to grad school to get an animation degree. So being in grad school at DePaul inspired me to launch an early version of this company that under a different name. But once I moved back here, 2013, I launched Phunky Pixel Media as part of the inspiration back in 2015 to begin to take my creative destiny and entrepreneurial dreams into my own hands.
So where are you from?
I am from St. Louis, Missouri.
All right now. You're a sister city.
That's right. So both named after French kings and both have pretty good music traditions.
Right. Exactly. So tell me how small businesses, how you can help small businesses with Phunky Pixel.
Well, our focus is on 4 pillars: web design, web animation. We do social media strategy and LinkedIn coaching in particular. I'm one of those users of social media who believe you get the best value out of it by networking your networks. It's a matter of being able to have literally huge crowds of people potentially around the world at your disposal for any potential opportunity, and not necessarily the people you're directly connected to, but the people they're connected to who might be interested in what you do. So I may or may not do any kind of thing with a Janice Miller, but there may be 4 or 5 people in her crowd who might want to do some kind of business with Phunky Pixel Media. So we preach networking all the time, and that's how you evolve those authentic business relationships.
I put your name of your company and your website and your phone number at the bottom of the screen. And
Thank
if
you very much.
anybody's whoever's watching and you might have some questions for Martin, just feel free. I'm going to put my little comments. I make myself too busy. I think I'm Chaka Khan. I'm the
It's
director
all
and the videographer, and I have to make sure I don't mess something up. Because one day I thought I had a wonderful conversation with somebody and wasn't recording it. So, but we are on. So, tell me, I met you through LinkedIn, and a lot of people tell people about LinkedIn and how you can use it. Because I'm not using LinkedIn like I need to be using LinkedIn.
Well, here's how I use it. The way I use it is motivated by the limitations I felt in my advancement in the corporate world. Like I told you, for my very first time, I was engineer for about 11, 12 years, 2 different companies, started at a local company here. And back in those traditional pre-internet eras, your advancement had a lot to do with relationships and people either talking you up so you could move up the chain or not talking about you at all. So your career could potentially just be completely dismissed. There are all kinds of gatekeepers.
That was kind of when networking started.
Yes.
In the 90s, everything was all about the networking.
Absolutely. Okay. So when the internet evolved into social media and this really big professional social media platform called LinkedIn came around, it evolved from being a career-seeking platform to being as much a networking platform for entrepreneurs as for anybody else. Okay. So the way I started, my motivation was to start using it to get around the traditional gatekeepers, to reach out to anybody literally around the world that I was interested in meeting, potentially having a meeting with, whether it's a video call or a phone call. So I've literally talked to people around the world just because of LinkedIn in particular. Never would have had the opportunity afforded to me like that before the internet era. So that's how I use it. That's how I teach my clients to use it.
Okay, so now I'm not going to ask for my session right this moment, but I know that there are some things that, especially when you start out a new business, and something that I need and I don't have, I've had them before, are websites.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think most small businesses, a website is beneficial nowadays, or do you just need a Facebook page under your company's name? Which one, pros and cons?
Social media is always a good way to start because it's always good free advertising, branding, especially if you use it to market yourself and your business consistently. But that's Facebook's property, and everything you put on it is Facebook's property. Anything you put on any social media companies is their digital content. That's the default agreement you agree to when you sign the agreement to create an account. Whereas your own purchased and branded website is your digital property. You bought it from your website designer, unless you designed it yourself. Right. And your hosting, which is where your site lives on the internet, is something that you're renting on an annual basis or on a monthly basis, depending on how you pay for it. But it is still your digital property. So that is the complete difference. You have no control over the other, although you may have influence and some sales on social media, but you can do all the e-commerce that you want to for whatever your goods or services are more effectively, ultimately, on your own branded website.
Okay. So when we talk about websites, when you go to get your domain name, I'm just trying to help some folks that may be listening and want to think they can go into business or have an idea about a business, that you have to have a domain name, the name either of your company or a name that you want people to look forward and to be able to find you.
Yes.
So most of the time I've used GoDaddy, because GoDaddy was the least expensive.
Yeah, that's a hosting company. Yeah.
That's a hosting company. Okay. All right.
And you buy your domain from hosting companies. Your domain is the name of your website.
Right. And that domain name, see, somebody can actually buy my name.
Absolutely.
So you have to be careful. So if you want to just be safe, if you've got something going on, and I found out that there was more than one Janice Carter, I just about fainted, but no, I didn't.
Hey, there's at least a dozen Martin Lindseys around the world too.
Yeah. So, in order to brand yourself, you have to have ownership of it.
Exactly.
And you'd be surprised how many people own other people's names.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
All it is, and that's the market that's called domain reselling. I always encourage people to buy your domain name, whether you're going to build a website tomorrow or not. When you do decide to build something, you will always have it at your disposal to launch your website whenever you're good and ready.
Right.
So yeah, but the reseller market has been big almost since the internet was created, especially early 2000s. That's when that market really took off. And anybody can buy. That's another internet business. Anybody can buy up a bunch of, if they have the funds, buy up a bunch of domain names that they think are likely to be needed, and they can be bought from them.
Right. They can do the resale thing,
Exactly.
Oh wow, that's crazy. So now, I know you deal with a lot of small businesses here in the city, and I also know you have a very talented son.
Yes.
Yes, and why don't we
and a very talented daughter too, if I may say.
Well, come on, tell us about him. Tell about your son. I remember the first time. Look, I met Martin 2016.
Okay, yeah.
And here we are today. And I met him on LinkedIn. And I don't use LinkedIn like I need to, but some kind of way we have stayed connected.
Absolutely have.
All right. So tell me about your son. Your son did some big things on Runway, Runway.
Yeah, when he was in high school, about 15 years old or so, it's probably about the year before you and I met. I think it was 2015. He was on the first season of Project Runway Junior. So Project Runway was already a big fashion designer competition show. Somebody gets eliminated each week and what have you. 2015, I believe it was, is when they launched the teenage version of the show. So my son, Zach Lindsey, was one of the 12 contestants, as I recall, on the show, and he made it almost about halfway through. So that inspired him to keep on going with pursuing his fashion career. He went to Manual High School. He was in the Youth Performing Arts School Magnet, and was part of the magnet that did costume design, set design, and lighting.
I need him.
Yeah, a lot of people do. But he, for the last 3 years, back when he graduated high school, he went to New York to pursue.
I was to say, Lord have mercy, don't tell me he went to New York. That's where he's supposed to go.
So yeah, his mother and I encourage him to, you're young. If you're going to do it, this is probably the opportunity and time to do so. So he's been there 3 years. It's been a struggle for him, but he's been doing before the pandemic hit. He was doing what mom and dad taught him to do: network and build some relationships. So he had internships in some of the well-known fashion houses up there, and learning how to live the bachelor life with bunches of roommates in that expensive city. But hey,
tell me about it. I had 3 jobs when I lived in New York. Had
wow,
to have 3 jobs.
wow. So
That
yeah,
was just to pay rent. Forget the rest of it,
yeah.
but that was just to pay the rent. So we'll talk about that when the show is over. I want you to stay on even when I go off. I want you
Okay.
to hang around and we'll talk about some of that. What is it that a small business? What is it that you can do for a small business? I mean, where would you start with a small business? I saw you had something to do with the little girl that had the soap.
Well, the that was a young lady who opened her own shop
Her
out on
own shop,
Frankfurt
right?
Avenue. So yeah,
Okay.
I share that's part of what I do. So my little bit to support Black businesses, especially kidpreneurs. Um,
I like
she
that. Kidpreneurs.
Yeah, that's a phrase I got from Black Enterprise magazine years ago. When they have their annual entrepreneurship conference, they also have a kidpreneur conference. So
Okay.
so
Okay.
the adults can go to their thing and they can take their kids. The kids can learn about entrepreneurship at their level. So that's where I learned that phrase was from the magazine.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And another one of the things, couple of things, opportunities that COVID-19 afforded the company was 2 lines of businesses that we were not in originally, and one of them is youth entrepreneurship. So there's a local nonprofit called Play Cousins Collective, and they have it's a Black owned nonprofit
Hmm.
with families of all sorts with small children, and who either full time or part time use homeschooling as an educational resource for their
Hmm.
children. Well, they have the educational arm of Play Cousins. It's called the Mazizi Homeschool, and they reached out to us and asked who might be able to who we recommend to teach business classes to their students. We said us, and
Okay.
so last semester we taught our first Kidpreneur 101 class, and this semester we're doing another of those. Ultimately, we hope next by fall to have enough of those first semester kids collectively to make a 102 class and give them a boost forward in the growth of their companies. We also had the opportunity with that before that. Well, no, this past holiday season, they hired us again to live stream their Kwanzaa celebration.
Now this is black.
Play Cousins. Play
Oh, the
Cousins
Play
Collect.
Cousins. Okay,
Yes.
that's who
So,
hired you. Okay, I got you
so,
now.
so those 2 things came along just within the 8 months or so that COVID has been ravaging the world, and small nonprofits like that have been trying to reconfigure how they're going to deliver their services. So
Right.
we benefit. That's how we've been able to pivot and add services, because that's what the rest of the world is doing, like you're doing right here. I mean, these are things that everyone's doing, and we can provide almost any sort of digital service as a service to any client who needs us.
And that's necessary because a lot of times you don't see us in this arena, this portion of the technology. Everybody always thinks they have to go to a white company. Let me just
Mhm.
say it, to a white company to get what they need.
And there are way more of us in the Pan African community than you would think. Not just here in America, but I mean, Black people everywhere are doing what we do. Our African brothers and sisters, Caribbean, our Afropean brothers and sisters, everybody is doing what we do to a certain degree, and a lot of us network with each other on
Right.
calls like this on a regular basis. We we,
Right.
we 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 have brought the world to ourselves and are getting to know each other as well as grow our companies.
That's it's exciting, to
It
know
is.
that, what's going on right now. We think about COVID and we're homebound. but there's some excitement that's really going on in the creative. This is a creative sphere because when
Yes, it
you
is.
create, you have to have vision. And I
Mm-hmm.
write and produce musicals. That's why I said I need your son. And so, in order for someone to see your vision, that you have to find a way, um, like right now, just an example, I have to find a way because since they closed Las Vegas down now, I lived in Las Vegas for 35 years. They closed it down. So it'll be the last to open because it's entertainment and it's crowd based.
Yeah.
Okay. But all of the showrooms are closed. Imagine that. The
Hmm.
showrooms are closed. Well, I need a showroom for one of my productions. So I'm trying to be ready that when the doors open up, that I can be first in line and have my production at least on a visual um, presentation, like a trailer,
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature that I can show. This is what I have. These are the people that I've got lined up to work with me. This is how long it's going to take. This is how much money I need to make it happen.
Yeah.
So um, that's those are the types of things that what you're doing is helps people's vision
Absolutely.
be exposed, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I've got a couple of questions on here. Somebody wants to know. Okay, now I think this is probably a technical question about starting a business. Um, I know we do DBAs, LLCs, corporate.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've had a subchapter S before.
Okay.
So, what out of those? The question here is, what components of your LLC is a must-have?
That is a question for an attorney who a
Okay,
corporate lawyer who sets
okay,
up businesses, or an accountant, more specifically a CPA who is detailed and trained in starting businesses. Ultimately, as your business grows, you're going to need a favorite lawyer and a favorite accountant anyway, because they have their specialties. But either of them can help you start your company, whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit,
right,
and they can get when they have your vision, as you mentioned, they're the best ones to advise you on which form of business to start. And that's what we tell our students and their parents as well. My company in particular, Phunky Pixel, started as an LLC. As it started out, my first business advisor was a guy who had a specialty in mergers and acquisitions, had an accounting background. So he said, I advise you to start out as an LLC. So everybody's story is different. So everybody's format of
right,
business is going to be different.
right. Because my first company was called first it was Carter Kids Inc.
Okay.
because I had a lot of dealings. I was a Boys and Girls director in
Okay.
Las Vegas. So my thing was if I wasn't singing, I was somewhere playing with some kids
Gotcha.
because my major is health and physical education.
Oh, okay.
So I was a PE teacher here in JCPS system for a couple of years before the entertainment bug bit me. The showbiz bug bit me.
I hear you.
So I've always done one of those two things. It's either I was singing or when I moved back home, I became a substitute teacher. So I had Carter Kids, and that was an incorporation, and I actually used it, and it was a sub chapter S when I started to sing that I funneled. It was subchapter S is more or less a holding corporation that I
Okay.
funneled my music through.
Got it. Okay.
Once I found out, once I owed the IRS $3,000, I like to have it fit. I said, "Oh no, never again." Yeah, because those tax problems can come up when you don't do it the right way.
That's right. And your
When you don't.
attorneys, your
Yeah.
attorneys and accountants protect you in that way by starting it in the right form.
Did you tell me that a part of Funky Pixel you also do animation?
Yes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's what my master's degree is in. I got my master's in animation at DePaul in Chicago. So
Oh
we lived
wow.
there for about 4 years.
Oh wow. Okay. See. I'm making notes physically and mentally.
Yes.
Because I mean, this is something I haven't heard of too many other people in this city that are doing any digital marketing. And I know
Right.
that we need to um, step up.
There are more than you would think. We
And
have a lot of competition, actually.
really,
Yeah,
in
and
this city, in
yes,
Louisville.
a lot of black owned companies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
not alone by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, that's a wonderful thing.
That is.
You
There's
know.
plenty of room for growth, and there's lots of pie for everybody.
Okay. So, where we are now with COVID, what would you say to people that want to start their own business and might have need of your services? What would you say to inspire them or motivate them to get started?
We always put it this way: every business needs buzz, but no business grows itself. So you have to draw attention to yourself and your services, especially if you are a one man, one woman show.
Right.
You are the brand. So get some attention for yourself. Create a portfolio of things you've done or services you provide, and at a very minimum, start something that's built to brand and market you. A Facebook like page, very simple. It's
Right.
structured to draw attention. You can post on it very easily each day. It's free. Ultimately, as you grow your market there, you start growing your following, start planning financially to launch your website. We can help you with both of those. So that could be a structure, a comprehensive multi social media, digital media plan that's rolled out over a series of weeks or months.
Okay.
A lot of people already have a presence and have been kind of fumbling along and accidentally successful. Imagine how much further they could accelerate things if they had a plan in place to post and respond and like and repost on a regular basis to build up their crowd and following even faster. So those are the sorts of strategies we can help people with, not only the doing, but just thinking and visioning forward
Hmm.
weeks and months ahead.
Hmm. Well, you probably have just acquired yourself a new client.
Well, thank you. Happy to have one.
Look,
We're
because
always
I
looking
mean,
for.
there are a lot of things. I am a one woman show. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I have a spouse. I'm the producer. He's the director.
Okay.
So, but I know that there are a lot of things that I'm not proficient in, as
Hmm.
far as promoting with the social media aspect. I know the old school way,
Right.
because that's what I grew up with, the old school way of marketing. I had my bio on a little card and my demo tape, my video, that if I wanted to go to work someplace, I just send it out. You
Uh-huh.
see, I have a friend on here with us, Bernard Lynette. When I did my first CD, he was down in Atlanta, and we collaborated. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
we used his audience and we used my audience
Exactly.
to do the things that we did, and it's important to network. Number one, you got to
Absolutely.
meet people, you got to make connections, and it's all social. Louisville is a very social city,
Hmm.
so when we open back up, networking and connecting with folks is monumental to what you do if you want to start a business,
And
right?
I'll also say this: that those traditional physical media that you mentioned are also still important when you're in person with people, because still people like to touch and feel
Right.
and have something to take home with them. They'll kind of sort of remember a conversation, but they will absolutely remember a bio card or a very clever business card that
Right.
looks unlike anything else, or any other little trinket that's branded with you or your organization.
Right. Right. So business cards still work.
They still do.
When you're out and about, business cards work. People in the music industry, the demos, the CDs, the mixtapes, whatever it is, the videos. really work nowadays. YouTube is a fabulous medium for that.
Absolutely. And you can have your own samples and snippets of your own music on your own branded website again.
Again,
That's right.
yeah, because I'm seeing that I've got my stuff everywhere, but I need it at its own. It needs its own home.
Yes.
Everything that I do needs its own home base. Okay, so I need to start branding myself in a much better light.
Yes, we can
Okay.
help you concentrate all that.
All right. All right. Well, Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was
This
fun.
is yeah, this is I want to give people information, and I want to give information that's uplifting, especially to our small business community here in the city, because I know a lot of folks are struggling,
Hmm.
and sometimes they don't know where to go find information, or they don't have anyone that they have access to tell them how to do the things that they might need to do. And if you see at the bottom of the screen, there's a little ticker tape says Phunky Pixel Media. It gives his website address and his phone number. That's Mr. Martin Lindsey. And on that note, Martin, I want to say thank you for coming to dinner. Sorry, darling.
Thank you for
Sorry that
having
we
us.
didn't have any food.
And one day we'll do it in person, of course.
That's the plan. The plan is to have these types of conversations over dinner where we can uplift each other, uplift our community, because the show is really supposed to be a conversation about racism and racial policies,
Hmm.
um, and finding solutions. What you've given us today are solutions to help to uplift ourselves in economical way, as far as having our own business,
Absolutely.
starting our businesses, helping to direct people the right way to go. So
And
there's his number. His name is Mr. Martin Lindsey.
thank you.
We thank you, Martin, and we'd like to have you back when we set up the dining room table with the
Absolutely.
black chefs fixing the meals.
Yes, absolutely. And the Funky Pixels would like to reciprocate by having you on our show when we launch.
You got me. I'm
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
I'm
Appreciate
there.
it. I'll tell
Take
the
care of
team when
yourself.
we meet on Wednesday.
All right, darling. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you for joining us. Stick around. We need to talk. I'm just going to close out here. Well, Mr. Martin Lindsey, did you all hear that? If you have a business that you want to start, sometimes you need somebody to help you start that business and tell you about the tools that you need to start your business, your website, you know, um, your approach to social media, how you deal with Facebook and YouTube, and mainly how you deal with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a more professional uh, social media site where you meet people that are in business or have businesses, or they're looking for people to bring into business. I mean, you could get hired from LinkedIn. I know a lot of people get hired from LinkedIn. It's another source of like where your resume is on display, and that's where you can people can go and find you, but you've got to be there in order for them to find you. So what I want to say, who's over here? I want to thank Miss A. Faye Carter and Mr. Bernard Lynette for joining us today and asking questions. Um, we have on Friday, we're going to have a group called uh, Mighty Shades of Ebony. Now, this is a high school group. Um, they're an activist group that talk about deal with activism through hip hop, through an art form where they have researched different subjects like food deserts, like redlining, um, things of that nature. And we're going to have them on. Senator Neal had them on Saturday. So if you missed his program on Saturday, I'm having them on this Friday. And they're going to perform. You're going to see some of their performances. I'm excited about it because naturally, anything in the arts, I'm all up for it. And we're going to have them on with their mentor, Mr. Rashid. And so look for us on Friday, 7 p.m. on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And then on that note, I'd have to say, bon appetit. Enjoy your meal. It's dinner time somewhere. I'll see you. I'll see you Friday. I got all this stuff up here, so y'all got to wait a minute so I can make it all work. See you next time. Take care.